Chris, if you're ready, sir, we can go there.
Yeah, you've got all my piece on there, Odie, yeah?
I can see you, Chris.
Okay. That Dane, that's brilliant, man. Okay, so Dane approached me about 10 days ago, I think, asking to demonstrate how I infilled these fissures in this piece of Jarrah Bear. So what I chose to do, as you can see, I used a brass powder, and it's a very simple process, but it really does bring out the beauty in it. Very nice and additional. So what we're going to do, but I add that there. So I just need to get a sealer.
Chris, are you holding that on one of those carving rigs that fits in your head, in your banjo, that you can tilt it, rotate it, etc.
Yes.
Yeah, that.
That is a wood cut carvage clamp.
Okay.
So these really are quite expensive. I was lucky to get this second hand, but I'm sure somebody like Captain Eddie probably made this kind of thing in his day.
I got two of them, and I made them both.
Yeah, they're a very simple but a very good concept. They work very well. Oh, just simply bring it back up. There we go. So, the thing you need to do with this, first of all, you need to seal the wood before we start using the super glue. If you don't seal your wood, the super glue can stain quite deeply into the wood. So, a little bit of a sealer. So, like a sanding sealer, or if you've got a lacquer on hand, that would do fine as well. It just needs to seal the surrounding area. And where's my glue gone? I've lost my bloody glue. Where's that gone? I had the glue on the side. Where's it gone? Just give me a second, guys.
Oh, you're not going to sing, are you?
Yes, no, somebody's moved my bloody glue.
Our demonstration is coming from Chris Parker in the UK tonight. We have a pretty good coverage right now of what is happening around the world. We're from Australia to Peru, to the coastal city, West Coast, Arizona. Whew, that is coastal. All right, we're with you, Chris. You ready yet?
Yeah. You just.
Okay. He'll be there. Don't rush. Don't rush, Chris. It's your demo. We all right. We'll be doing a gallery following this. We found out earlier, if you were here, Safety Sue is not feeling well tonight. Won't be with us. But I tell you, her and Jim Selby were cruising around the Florida Symposium last week and sent me a ton of photographs, which we will include in this month's coming newsletter, because you have to see some of this work. I mean, the big dogs went to Florida. That's all I have to say. All right, Rick, we're back with you.
Yeah, okay, we're good to go there, Eddie. Can you?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, right. So you can see the features in the top of this. So simply clear, low viscosity glue, and simply tap some brass powder. Just take a little bit of abrasive that you don't mind getting stuck. So you just mix it up into a little bit of a paste. forcing it into the fissures of the wood. Obviously, don't use your finger because it'll get stuck. So you see the little bit of a paste that we've now got mixed up. It now easily goes into the wood. So that super glue is now set. So we go in with a little touch more. So you've got to build the layers up sometimes. And that, and get a little bit more of that. And just work it into the voids, into the wood. So you could either buy this powder from the craft stores or what, but also you can also source it from the companies who cut keys. So it turns into a really good paste. And just keep filling it. So that's starting to set a little bit now, as you can hear it. Over there. So you can now see on this side now, where we've filled it up, still needs a little bit more over there. And quite simply going again, mixing it up with what glue you've got left.
So you're actually mixing it, filling it, and sanding it all there together, aren't you? In one step.
So this actual fissure here was quite deep. So we filled it up in layers, a bit of the powder and then some glue and then powder and some glue, building layers up as you go. So that's set quite well on there now. It's not quite at the surface as the wood. So it's like with the rest of that there, that's exactly what I would have done with all the rest of it. Let's just move that in a little bit there. There you go. And then you just pull it back. We just let that dry off a touch. A little bit of heat. This helps the glue cure. Once, so you can see how that's filled now, so we can sand that back. And hopefully with putting some of the sanding sealer on first, it shouldn't stain the wood too much. So you can just see it coming through now. We just sand it back ever so slightly.
Chris, what grit of sandpaper is that?
That's a 180.
180.
180 on there. So you can see the metal coming through nice now. You see, when I'm doing a whole piece like that, spray it with a lacquer first or a sanding sealer, and it stops the super glue from penetrating too far. If the super glue penetrates too far, it can stain the wood. But as you can see there, that there's no staining, it's just the brass powder standing out.
Hey, Chris. Hey, Chris, does it matter what grade of super glue? Are you using thin or thick or medium?
I use the low viscosity, so the thinnest one. I find it mixes up quite well with the powder.
Mm-hmm.
So the low viscosity. I think this is an American brand as well, actually. Blue Boost, fill and finish pro formula is what I use.
Okay, thanks.
A very simple process. I'll just get a little bit of oil and make that, and it really just stands out. It's really quite nice.
Quite popping.
Yeah, popping, that's the word. It's on, excuse me, but it's a little bit late in the night over here. So I'm just going to add a little bit of lemon oil, similar to like orange oil, that kind.
Oh.
And that's what she goes like.
Oh, yeah.
That's what caught my eye. It gives a marbling effect.
Yeah, so that's what she's like without a little bit of oil. So when you can build this up to a couple of layers. And it that really makes that pop, doesn't it?
Sure does.
Oh yeah.
That's what caught my eye when I saw it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that's the one there, yeah.
Yeah.
I've never seen somebody use lemon oil though.
It's just nice and pops it out. This was just for a demonstration process. I would, to make a nice deeper shine, would use like a tung oil or a Danish oil. And you would add the layers, 3 or 4 layers, and that shine and the sheen would go really deep into the wood.
Nice.
Yeah, it brings it up well, doesn't it?
Yes,
Yes,
it
it does.
does.
Lovely job, Chris.
Oh, I am Martin. I forgot about you.
Right. I'm going to jump in, Chris, because one of the things that we're probably all sat here sort of saying to ourselves is, can we really be bothered to put that stuff in layer by layer by layer? Why not just whack a bit of super glue in, shove a bit of powder in, job's done in 2 seconds? As you will see from Chris's demonstration there, the reason he puts it in layers is there's no voids behind it. So he's completely filling the void. So by putting the time in, when he comes to polish the whole thing, you haven't got crevices and cracks all over the place, as well as bits that are filled and bits that aren't filled. And it really makes the difference to spend your time, if you're going to do something like this, in putting the work in, once you've put the work in on the lathe. And as you can see with that, it makes a tremendous piece.
Yep.
Even if it is beautiful wood to start with, Chris, and you've just destroyed it.
Right.
We made it look more pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Hey Chris,
What grit powder what grit powder are you using? Or does it tell you?
Wait, sorry.
What
The grit
grit power?
The powder, it's I don't think there's actually a grade on it. But I'll put some in my hand. Is it extremely fine? You can see?
Yeah.
The that's very hard to feel, like the molecular size of it.
The reason why I'm asking, the powder I've been using has been a 325 grit.
Okay.
But it's a very fine powder too.
Oh, you can, there's no, it's very hard to feel the size of the grain. It's that small.
Kind of like baby powder, talcum powder.
Yeah, maybe a good explanation, Dean. Yeah.
Okay.
It's extremely fine. And I know, I mean, you don't have to buy this from the craft stores. If you go to a company that cuts keys, a key cutting company, they get this kind of brass powder and they throw it away. I don't know.
I put a link in the chat to a powder source.
Yeah. I mean, this
Outstanding.
one's from, is in the UK, but I'm sure you guys have something in the US.
The brass we get from key machines is much coarser, or it is where I get them,
Oh, okay.
much coarser. Chris,
Yeah,
when you do this, how big an area, you don't do half the vessel or something, how big an area do you do at a time? Like 2 inches square? Or?
Yeah, you work in the area till there's sufficient coverage. Till you filled it and you can feel it, it starts to like spew out of the top.
But you do small areas at a time, right?
Oh yeah, literally
Yeah.
like maybe an inch, 2 inches at a time.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, the whole of this piece probably took me maybe an hour, 2 hours. But it was nice and gentle, and you can see it happening, so it's really therapeutic.
They grade the powder. They grade the powder. So like the powder I got from Amazon in the link I posted in chat, it was like 320, which is, really fine. It's a lot like the powder that Chris was using there. So,
Okay.
That worked great. I mean, I've done a lot of that stuff. So that link I put in chat works really well.
Oh, thanks for that. That's brilliant. That
And the powder is fairly reasonably priced because they use it in industry. They sell it in 55-gallon drums, so for industrial purposes. So it's not that expensive. It's reasonably priced.
Yeah, they have a couple of metals they do, like they sell aluminum powder too, and it comes out looking silver. So if you want to do that, that's also a choice. Same process.
yeah.
Aluminum is really pretty.
Thank you so much.
The key shavings, would you have to grind that up?
Yes.
Yes,
Oh,
maybe.
okay. I used mine. I didn't grind it up. I just used it the way it was given to me.
The ones I have got, they were fine enough to use. I suppose it depends on the person you get them from. The one that I use were extremely soft. So,
The key shavings I've seen have had a lot of steel in it because they're very magnetic. So.
oh right, okay.
I powdered mine a bit before I used that when I used key shavings. It's still, whoever was talking about that earlier, it's still much coarser than the brass powder is. The brass powder is super fine, and it really makes a nice consistent finish. It looks like you poured the metal in there.
Yeah.
It's night and day difference.
It's not expensive. It's like 20 bucks a pound.
For the cost of it, I would always go with the brass powder because it's not expensive, but it gives a really nice contrast.
Yes, it does. On that piece, it does. Nice.
That's just beautiful, Chris.
The brass powder is $20 a pound. It's so that's cheap.
Yeah, I mean, you get with a nice contrast with this Jarrah burr, which is like the red that you can see, and then the brass it really just heightens the piece to another level.
Yes.
I mean,
I would think applying it the way Chris does, doing it with a slurry with the CA a little at a time, as opposed to dropping in a batch of super glue and then dropping in your median and then
Yeah.
building it up that way to where you've got a proud ridge per se, is you're not going to be getting flat spots when trying to sand what you build up, doing it this way as opposed to the other.
You don't, if you
It's
could
very
get it the other
intuitive.
way, you, like Martin said, you could end up with some voids, some
You'll end up,
hollow bits, and all of a sudden you
You
could
will,
end up
yeah.
with nothing there. But I mean,
Yep.
that was the colour I started with the wood. And you wouldn't know that lies beneath. It's
That's
like,
very cool. Very cool. Yeah, when
Yeah.
I've done it, what I've done is I put the powder in the cavities first and then use the super thin super glue, and it wicks into the powder and
Yeah.
solidifies it all. And
But
then,
you-
you're going to have a little void, some voids on the top. So then you do what Chris just did. You just build up another layer on top to get it proud. But
Yeah.
most of it, you'll wick in and get most of it that way.
I mean, who knows? When I get to the inside, I will probably do the same as I've done on the outside
Mhm.
because I like the effect so much.
Yeah.
You know what would be even cool would be maybe do since you did the gold on the outside, do silver on the inside.
Possibly.
Cool too.
I could, yeah.
But I like the way Chris done it here because it was almost like he was filling it, mixing it, and sanding it all at the same time, all in one step.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One-stop shop.
Yeah, simplified it.
The difference with filling voids like that, like Matt's saying there, if you fill your void up with the powder first and then you add your super glue on the top, the super glue will penetrate so far into the powder it will not reach the bottom of the powder. So what you've got is you've got a powder base with a super glue top. If you put your super glue in first, you're sticking your bit of powder to the top of the super glue. So what you've got is a super glue void and then a powder top. If you're then going to turn it, and I expect to see this, Chris, turn that thin that you will be able to see what you've put in at one side at the other side. And if he does do that, it would be powder right the way through. There's no voids, there's no cracks. Each one of them will be taken care of the way that Chris has done it, by mixing it and adding it and layering it. So it does it makes for a very, very strong piece when it's finished, whatever way he turns it. I am joking, Chris, don't turn it that thin.
Sounded like a challenge to me.
Yeah,
No.
very.
Not on that piece of
Martin knows not to challenge me.
Mhm.
But
Beautiful.
and one thing I would like to say is that whatever we do to a piece of wood, you've got to get the shape right.
Yeah.
I love embellishing and texturing, but if you haven't got that initial shape, guys, really take care in what you're adding to, and think, am I going to make it better? And like there's a big word that I was taught by a professional turner. It's called a catenary curve. And that curve is like a necklace round our neck. And it's just a nice soft curve all the way through. And it's nice. So, please try, get the best you can. Look at your piece, get it in different orientations so you can step back and see it and see how you look at it. Because sometimes whatever we throw at it, if it's a bad shape, it's still going to be a bad shape. So try and get it right first. And then when we add this kind of thing to it, it just goes like boom, and it's just, it just takes it to another level. So you've got to get it right, and it's like the tactility. I'm running a class in a few weeks, and the tactility to it has to be right. It has to feel right. It's the curves. Because if nobody likes the flat, but that curve there, you can close your eyes and it's just a uninterrupted curve. It works well. That's all that I wanted to say.
Nice.
Thanks, Chris. That was great.
Yes, thanks,
Thank you.
Chris.